Yes, people, welcome back to the only YAHYAH with the one and only, the true Chino Falaci. And today we're talking about England midfield trio. And also just breaking down the game a bit for you. But before we jump into that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications so we can continue bringing you great content going forward. So as we see England and Belgium battled it out earlier today, and there was a lot of people talking about this English midfield trio of the Mainoo, Bellingham, and Rice. I liked what I saw. I'm gonna be honest. I actually thought they had a really good balance. They kept the ball well. They had moments of brilliance. They linked with each other, which I feel like it's very important if you want to have a good midfield that they always keep playing between each other. I think that is key for any team. Any midfield that can play between each other and play well with each other, most likely your team will dominate the game and win that game. So it was good to see because Mainoo, Bellingham, and Rice, they were actually doing their thing. You know, they were trying to penetrate Belgium because Belgium was playing more in a mid low block. I mean, the kind of players they have, I understood why they're playing at that level, at that kind of way, that style of play. But also, the coach isn't there very long. And England dominated the ball in spurts. They had good moments. But it also showed a lot of things about England team that a lot of people need to sit down and stop talking about this team like it's the greatest pool of talent we have ever seen in the history of world football and international football. Let's say that it's the most spoken about players because they are in the most spoken, most popular football league, the English Premier League. But let's not talk about their quality because when we look at other national teams, even in these friendlies that England played at Wembley Stadium, we saw that the quality of other national teams are no joke. And for us to sit down there and actually think that England has the best pool of players ever, it's a joke. It's a joke. You know, even Mourinho said that in a interview that he did on a podcast, and he was talking. He said Portugal has a massive pool as well. It's a lot of teams, but we saw England drawing 2-2 against Belgium. We saw Ivan Toney getting his opportunity, um, winning the penalty, finish it as usual. As I said in my video yesterday that I did about Tony and Watkins, this is a massive part of his game. He wins lots of penalties and he's actually good at finishing them. And this is going to be a big part of one of the reasons why I think Gareth Southgate picks him to go to the Euros because also watching him in the game today, he came, he linked up play, he allowed the team to release the pressure for the team a lot better than Ollie Watkins against Brazil, I reckon. Also, he was linking up play with the midfielders. He was getting in dangerous positions. His burst of speed, actually watching him today playing with those quality of players, it showed what a good striker Ivan Toney can actually be. And it's amazing to see that also to see his progression as a striker. I watched him burst into the first 2-3 yards today, and you can tell he worked on that a lot in his band because he was never that player that was really quick within those 2, 3, 4 yards, but now he's so rapid within those 3, 4 yards, and that's why he even won that penalty because he got his body across the defender, quick rush of speed because it wasn't the best ball by Bellingham, and he won the penalty. And it was actually it's really good to see that I could have identified that he made that progress. I'm sure he would be happy to see that I identified that progress as well. But then we also saw a young man, 18-year-old, the one, the only, Kobbie Mainoo, doing his thing, coming up big, winning balls, winning challenges, linking up play, trying to dictate the pace of the game. You know what's amazing about Kobbie Mainoo is He's one of the first midfielders I have seen in a very long time that tries to dictate the pace of the game from a number 8 position. Other than, I think, I would say Frankie de Jong is probably the only number 8. And let me be key. Number 8, because you have the Rodriguez who dictate play. You have Sergio Busquets who dictate play. But as a number 8, usually you see that number 8 going up and down. Look at the Bellinghams. Look at the Kevin De Bruyne's. Look at the Goodigans. Look at the Bernardo Silvas. Look at the Bruno Fernandes. Everyone is really good in transitional moments. But when it comes to just trying to just dictate a football game, it's a very rare skill, I reckon, in modern day era midfielders, especially the number 8s. And I just think it's just to watch this kid just try to just dictate a football game every time he's on the pitch. Even look at the McAllisters and them of the world, the Ryan Gravenberches of the world, even the Moise Caicedo, the Enzo Fernandez. These guys, Conor Gallagher's. If you name them all, you name the Basumas, you name, man, so many midfielders in the top teams. They don't really have midfielders now trying to just dictate the pace of the game as a number 8. But you look at Rodri, he dictates the pace of the game. But it's just amazing to watch Mainoo and how he linked up play, how he was winning foul. There was this one time when he just held off Castagna, held off another player, came to the middle, won a foul, how he was playing balls with the outside his foot, beating players, slowing down the pace of the game, speeding up the pace of the game, involving lots of good plays going forward. It was good to watch. It was good to watch. And it's amazing because people need to start to give Eric Ten Hag a massive shout out when it comes to Kobbie Mainoo, because yet again he has showed that he can identify talent. Garnacho, Mainoo, you look at his other players, he has shown that he can identify talent. And then you look again, we look at this guy here, having his 50th cap, captain in England in a nice draw, 2-2 draw. And also that guy behind there playing a ball, Romelu Lukaku, giving him a massive shout out because Lukaku played a wonderful game today. Even that pass that he made with the outside of his foot, you can tell he's been working on that because that is not a pass that Lukaku usually plays. And then I see him try to play it a few times within the game. I'm like, you've been working on this. Because, as players, when you go to the field and you work on something, you try and try and try it. Especially when you come off after your first try, you try it again. I saw him try this ball in a Roma game and it didn't really come off well. So he's happy to see him try it again this international game, and it worked. Also, Dunn making a massive mistake again, forcing Lukaku to win the ball and a goal being scored. This is the second time Lukaku has, in that same left channel for that team, Roma against Brighton, done mistake, Lukaku gets on it, goal is scored, assist. Same thing again, done. He makes the same mistake twice in the same position against the same player. He has just played himself off of the plane to the Euros, I reckon, done. I'm not even being biased or anything. He actually has played himself off of the plane. But Declan Rice, congratulations, bro, for getting your 50th cap and England getting a draw. I think you really deserved it. You played well today. I can see that you're trying to settle in the role because you haven't played at the 6th position for a very long time. But this is why Kobbie Mainoo, again, is a generational talent, because this kid can play at any position. But it was good to see how the midfield for England rotated, how they played together with each other, how sometimes Bellingham was at the 6, Mainoo was at the 10, Rice was at the 8, or vice versa, different ways. different transitions. So it was good to see. And it was good to see that Declan Rice got his 50th cap at just 25 years old. But then, the man who stole the show, the one and only, the true Jude Bellingham. Yes, this guy, best player in the world, and he shows it every time he goes on the pitch. And he runs his. Yo, even if this guy doesn't have a good game, right? He covers every blade of the grass at every moment he gets. And I feel like people need to really start to look into this guy is probably going to be the best player in the world for the next couple of years. Until somebody comes about that's doing something magical, he is probably going to be the best player in the world for a couple of years. And don't be surprised if he wins the Ballon d'Or this season, especially if Real Madrid wins the Champions League, and especially if he wins the La Liga, and he goes to the Euros and he wins it as well. He deserves it. Now, we can't really say he will win it because we look at Erling Haaland, who actually deserved the Ballon d'Or last year, and he didn't win it. But Jude Bellingham definitely deserves the Ballon d'Or. And he actually showed again why he's the best player in the world. There's no doubt he's the best player in the world right now. I watched this one time, right? He's running through. Two guys kick him. He falls down. He doesn't get the call. He gets back up. He runs. He wins the ball, wins the challenge, and then beats the guy, wins the throw-in. Then breathes hard. And then he realized he's trying to get the thrown in quick. They throw the ball into him quick. He runs with it for like 20 yards, passes it, then tries to link up play. I'm like, you're a different animal, man. You actually are really inspiration for young players to watch, to realize that you love football, hard work over anything else. And Jude Bellingham is hard work with talent. And together, you put that together, you have a real massive superstar. But England played well. It was a good game. And I'm actually proud to see that lots of players who got their debuts for England played well, but also lots of players played themselves off of that plane. Now, when we look at certain things about England and people talk about this massive pool of players, we have to look at the quality of the opposition as well to better understand why, for me, those conversations when people talk about Gareth Southgate and him having this massive pool of players and England is this, and this golden generation. In football right now, I don't think they have been in such a long time, such a massive pool of talent throughout so many footballing countries. Just like when we look at the quality of teams as a whole, there's so many players of other teams now playing in Europe at big clubs, and people look at this England thing because of the English Premier League and just think like they're the only teams that have talent. Now, when we look at the two games that England played, we're going to look at the both lineups, and I'm just going to show you some of the talent in both teams. So we saw them play England, right? Brazil versus England. Brazil's front three was two Real Madrid players and a Barcelona winger. So Vinicius Rodrigo and Rafinha was the front three, and behind them was a Wolves, Newcastle, and a West Ham player. So all these players are playing in the top level in Europe. How does people believe that these teams aren't going to hurt England? These are players they're playing against that are hurting them on a regular in their Premier League games, in their European games. So they're not going to hurt them internationally. Why? Because they're playing for a country now. England's bringing on Marcus Rashford, and England's bringing on Joe Gomez, Mainoo, Ivan Toney, the Watkins. But Brazil's bringing on Douglas Luiz, Savio, who's going to Man City already next season. So you know he's a baller. There's AC Milan centre backs in Bremer. There's Andres Pereira, who Fulham is beating big clubs in the Premier League. And this is not even their biggest poll. You know, you have, okay, the Jared Bowen, you have Bellingham, you have Foden, you have Anthony Gordon, but England starting front three is not better than Brazil starting front three. And England starting midfield in that game, let's be honest, that midfield of Brazil is a very good midfield. Lucas Paqueta is top 5 midfielders in the Premier League as we speak. And the other 2 midfielders are probably top 15, top 20 in the Premier League. In the league that we say are some of the best midfielders, in the best in the world. Okay, now we look at the Belgium poll, right? We see again England play Belgium. England fields Konza, Dunk, Chilwell, these players. Okay, England midfield, Mainoo, Rice, Bellingham. Okay? And then the front 3 is Bowen, Toney, and Foden. Doku, Man City, Lukaku, probably top 10 nines in the world. Based on statistics and when in form, he is a threat. And Trossard, who is playing for Arsenal, who is fighting for the Premier League and in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. This guy was lighting up the Premier League before he went to Arsenal and is lighting it up at Arsenal as well. You have Youri Tielemans, who not long ago was one of the best midfielders in the world. Many big teams wanted Youri Tielemans, but he decided to sign a new contract with Leicester, and then he had a poor season when his contract was running out, and he ended up at Aston Villa. Onana, again, he's being linked to big clubs in English Premier League. Everton player, Mangala, look again, Nottingham Forest, but then we know who fills that spot in Kevin De Bruyne. So let's be honest. De Bruyne, Onana, Youri Tielemans. You're trying to sit down and tell me, isn't a hard battle for a Bellingham, Rice, and Mainoo, or Bellingham, Rice, and Foden, or Bellingham, Rice, and Maddison? Of course they are. They actually, as a complete 3, I would say, are a bit more complete than the others because they have everything that you need. You have the work ethic of Onana. You have De Bruyne, who is a passing god, who can break down any team in world football. And you have Youri Tielemans, who is a great number 8, who can control the pace of games. That is exactly what England's trying to find within their middle 3 as well. And with the experience that those guys have, to the experience that these other guys, that the Bellinghams, Rice, and the Mainoos have, there's arguments to be made. So we have to understand that this talk about this English talent, we have to watch what we're talking about. Because Belgium has players, okay, they might not be the best, playing for the best teams, but they're playing in top level football. You know, Castagna and Vertonghen, and these are good players. These are players that can hurt teams. They have assets, they have abilities that can hurt teams, and they were playing at the highest levels. So we have to start to respect international teams and respect that the players that we speak about in the English Premier League have also players of other nations playing in the English Premier League. Let us respect other national teams. International football is different. It's a different thing. You have players from all over the world coming together, fighting for their nation. It's a different battlefield. So yes, people, this has been your boy YAHYAH Chino coming to you live. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the page. Keep hitting the bell for notifications. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers so I can keep bringing you great content going forward. Have a good night. Ciao.